All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Honcast here. That's right, we got the Deadeye Bounty League Season 2 action continuing, and by continuing, I mean wrapping up this weekend for the group stages, that is. That's right, we got 2 more days left of what will be a 12-day event in total here for the group stages. Plenty of Heroes of New Earth we've had over these last couple of months, really, but we are winding down of the group stages, going to figure out who the top 6 teams are, and then advance onto that bracket stage starting next week, which will take place over the next couple of weekends, in fact. With that said, so with its own prize pool and everything. So again, definitely some good Heroes of New Earth content we've had, and more to come. Even that's really been the purpose of this event, is safe to say, and I think it's accomplished it. So excited to be here once again. I personally had the weekend off last weekend, so big shout out to Matthew Madical with that for stepping in, doing a great job there. But it is good to be back and good to be casting some Heroes of New Earth once again this weekend here. With that said, I, of course, am joined by a co-caster today, and I'm going to be joined by What You Got of Complexity. How's it going, man?
It's going good, Breaky. Glad to have you back, and excited for some more DBL. And as you pointed out, we are kind of wrapping things up, so gonna look to see how the teams finish it off here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, you guys actually only have one more match yourselves. I mean, everyone's pretty much, obviously down to the end here. I think BMG is actually the only team that currently is 100% finished. They've actually finished with 10 points here in the group standings. And I was looking at it kind of before we came on here today, and of course, I mean, there is still nothing is guaranteed just yet as far as who the top 6 teams are going to be. There's definitely, obviously, a little bit of a spread here as far as the top 6 teams, but if teams like, for example, Reason Gaming today, they only have 3 points coming into this. However, oh no, that's actually wrong, I believe. Let me double check that. Go on the standings. Reason Gaming actually, okay, yeah, that's I'm right there. They have 3 points coming into this at 0-3 and 4. However, if they win here, then they still have no chance. So never mind. Reason Gaming is out of it.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought that they actually still had a chance, but now that I'm looking at it again, they do not. But Druids, on the other hand, they definitely are feeling pretty good. They got 8 points, with this being their 7th of 8 matches that they play in total. So, point being, Druids especially looking to get some wins here and really try to secure that. Anyways, enough of all that. We got a draft and stuff happening, so Let's get into it here. We got Warbeast, Midas, Tundra, and Lord South Forest bands. Parasite into Hellbringer, Magmus into Ophelia, and Aluna into Salamon, actually. Salamon with a 3rd pick there coming out for Reason. So, what do you think? Pretty standard stuff so far, it looks like.
Yeah, there's nothing too crazy. Reason Gaming, I know they like their Hellbringer. I think they even like to play it in the support role. I believe Hanks plays it. So they're one of the few teams that actually likes to throw that on the support role. But yeah, they got a pretty solid draft overall. A lot of team fight with the Ophelia and eventually the Solomon once he gets that first item picked up. And then we have a little bit more of ganking with the Parasite on the Legion side, some team fight with the Magmus and the Aluna picked up. So yeah, it's pretty standard stuff so far.
Oh. There's a little different.
Yeah, Kinesis. Interested to see if that's going to be, I guess that's going to be a core, and then they'll put the Aluna as a support. Sometimes we do see Kinesis played in the support role, but I'm actually interested to see who's going to play that. I guess it would go to Max in this case. I've seen STSD play that in scrims as well, but that would be in the support role, so probably see that in the core position this game. But yeah, so the second set of bands we have Behemoth, Oogie, Lodestone, Magebane, Pharaoh, and Swiftblade. So a good mixture of carries and suicides being banned out.
Now, you know, with me being gone last weekend, and actually this patch, well, just took place on Tuesday, of course. Of course, it was big with Shell Shock, the new hero coming out and everything. But for tournament, we didn't really notice or don't really care about that too much yet. But it did actually have some balance changes in it. And honestly, some fairly decent ones for some heroes that are pretty popular. Behemoth being one, and Salamon actually being another. And, you know, sure enough, we see Salamon here. So I don't know if you've gotten the chance to really, you know, mess around with these changes or look at them too much. But, I mean, I was just kind of going over them myself right here to double check. I mean, Salamon really got nerfed, and across the board, really, with his abilities. So he definitely was toned down a little bit here. So I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually kind of forgot. But as far as Solomon goes, I think the hero is still quite good. I think I guess the farming is a little bit nerfed, and the power on the ultimate with the cleave spell got a little bit of a cooldown increase, as well as I think one of the other abilities, ultimate form
Uh,
ability 3. I'm
uh,
actually not too sure what that
no,
means, but
well,
the
yeah.
point the
Okay, go ahead.
point being is that he is a little bit toned down, but he is still a very strong hero. If you do give him the free farm, he will still do the same, pretty much the same thing that he did before, as far as I'm aware. But the bigger one I think is Behemoth. Um, I haven't been seeing it as much played lately, and I'll be interested to see if teams are valuing it as highly as it's been valued in the past. And the biggest thing is that you can't really solo alt heroes anymore. You kind of need to look for those bigger shockwaves where there's more heroes and more creeps,
Mm.
because that's where you get the bigger damage output from the shockwave. So Behe definitely receiving a pretty fair nerf, I think. So I think we're going to see a little bit less of him, but he'll still pop up here and there, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, both were heroes that very, very popular, very successful. Especially the Salamon, him getting tuned down.
Mm.
I don't think anyone's having any concerns there about about his nerfs. Behemoth, debatable, I think, but yeah, as you pointed out, he definitely got a little bit of that nerf and that shockwave. So not going to see him here in this first game at least, but wouldn't be surprised to, of course, see him throughout here today. So. Malakin is the final pick here for Druids, and there we go, Wild Soul actually coming out for a reason. So they're going to throw in a Wild Soul with the Salamon. That's a very greedy, a lot of farm to go around. Now, actually curious because, again, they have the Cthulhu Inno. Wait, what is going on? What are they
Yeah,
doing?
it's a very interesting draft coming out. It almost looks like they have three junglers, but obviously we'll have Ophelia being the jungler. Um, so yeah, we're gonna have a laning Wild Soul and even perhaps a laning Cthulhu Font. And then Hellbringer will be played in that support role, which I'd say that Reason Gaming is one of those few teams that likes to put Hellbringer as the main support.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, very interesting finish to their draft. And then Druids goes with the Malik, and it's a very aggressive early game carry that can deal with the Solomon
Mhm.
in the earlier parts of the game. Once he picks up that Shrunken Head, he'll be able to do quite a lot. I guess we're gonna have a remake here.
Yeah, it looks like
Didn't
one of the players
catch.
DC'd
Okay,
there. So gonna have to have him
not a
back
big deal.
on. Nope. Just go right back into it, I'm sure. Um, yeah,
So yeah,
that's curious though.
I didn't
Anyways.
quite catch who was playing what heroes for Reason Gaming, but I want to believe we're gonna see something like a um, off-laning Wild Soul, perhaps, which we haven't been seeing very often because he farms so fast in the jungle that pretty much every team values just putting him in that position. And maybe a mid Cthulhu font, which is something that Evil Corporation used to do
Yeah.
on Bray used to play a lot of mid Cthulhu font. I think he was one of the only players that used to actually play mid Cthulhu. But I think that's what we're going to see here, depending on which players are playing heroes. I didn't quite catch.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again they have the DC, so we don't want to be too certain on who is going to be what here. So we'll see Archie Tiger returning, and once he sits, we'll be good to go here. Yeah, no, that's going to be interesting to see how Reason Gaming goes about it here. Again, I'm sure they are aware, speaking of the standings right here, that, yeah, so I know that there's a vacuum. My wife is
Okay.
got the vacuum.
Son of a big
The
shit.
stream shouldn't be able to hear it, but you might be able to because you have a
Oh,
different
so that's
mic.
okay.
So,
That's good.
yeah, so hopefully it shouldn't go on too long here.
Okay,
Um,
no problem.
we actually got a dog recently, so she's cleaning up the dogs, shedding and everything. So
Oh yeah, I got dogs myself. I know what that's like.
yeah, it's a fun
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
But no, getting back into this here. So, yeah, looking at the standings, again, Reason Gaming, only 3 points. This is their final match. So, yeah, mathematically, they are out of it no matter what. I mean, right now we have Sink in first, Fresh in second. They're both absolutely guaranteed. BMG with those 10 points. I want to say that they should be guaranteed as well. Again, I haven't actually done all the math and everything, but I think they should be good no matter what. Then we got you guys, obviously, Complexity, Wapdash in that 4th and 5th spot. And then Druids actually coming in that currently 6th spot. So, yeah, Druids, they currently are in the top 6. However, for one, Evil Corporation, I mean, they're actually an interesting spot themselves. They only have 4 points. They're 0-4-2 coming into this weekend. And they're set to play Reason Gaming later on today, actually. Wait, so that doesn't make sense. What am I missing here? Because Reason Gaming, they should only have 6 minutes. See, I thought something was screwed up here. Wait a second. Huh, on the standings on the side, it says they're 0-3-4, yet that's impossible. I'll have to look into that then.
0-3-4?
Yeah, because you play 8 matches, yet they have 2 matches to play today.
Who's 0-3-4?
Reason Gaming, according to the website. But again,
okay.
that doesn't make sense. Let me see if I can just do some quick here. Search for Reason. So we got, yeah, that one was rescheduled. I wonder if that's what screwed it up. So there's a tie, a loss, tie, loss, tie. Okay, so they're 0-3-3 actually. Yeah, they're 0-3-3. So they still have 3 points, but they actually have 2 series. So actually that does change a bit where they could, if they win both of their series here today, then that would actually put them at 9 points.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, it's going to be a tough challenge, of course, but if they go 2-0 in both their series against Druids here and then, of course, Evil Corporation later, then they could still even. So, yeah, everyone still is in contention right here. Is the point here. Sorry, a little confusing here.
Yeah, so then the big one would be later because Evil Corporation only has the 4 points, right?
Yeah, they only have 4 points.
If they would be able to knock them out, then they would overtake them in points.
Wouldn't that be something? A lot of people consider Evil Corporation to be the hot team, honestly. Obviously, then of course you guys, but even with the more recent results, I mean, they've really been looking good now. Now, I will say they have been using ringers here for a bit.
Exactly. I was going to point out the biggest thing about this tournament specifically is that a lot of the teams, my team including, has been using a lot of the ringers. So
yeah,
I personally don't look into the results that much.
That's
but
fair.
For the viewer's sake,
the drama.
You look at it either way.
The drama.
Yeah, look at it however you want, because the facts are the facts.
Yeah, you're right, though. Way to ruin it. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, so we got the lanes here. So it is going to be a Wild Soul in the short lane, sure enough. Cthulhu will end up in that long lane. And actually, Salamon's going to go mid. So, again, they really had potential to do so many weird things, and this is
not what I expected. But when I saw Time to Die playing the elephant, or the Cthulhu Funzer, I know he is their suicide player, so I immediately thought that he would be going to the long lane.
Yeah.
But Solomon going mid was not something that I was anticipating. And Wild Soul can definitely hold his own in a 1-on-1 or even a 2-on-1, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting laning phase coming out.
We got Parasite up here. Pexu, of course, playing the Parasite for Druids over here, and going to be harassing Ophelia, at least attempt to take out the boost first as we see. So going to have some fun jungle interaction here, and it's going to be a Vulture Lord. Parasite will gladly take that over. However, Hellbringer coming over, so... Oh, actually, what was that about? So, Ophelia got the Vulture Lord, then canceled it immediately and killed it, I think.
Yeah,
so,
and the thing is, what you want to do in that scenario as a jungler is you want to try to bait the Parasite's infest, but because Parasite was so close to the creep, it's really hard to do that. So he just goes and instantly kills it and forces Parasite to either run away or take over the small creep. And in this case, he takes over the small one and then has to run away. So that kind of forces him out either way. And now Ophelia can kind of have her way with what she wants, this is what Reason wants, because Parasite wants to put the pressure onto Ophelia.
Yeah. No, he's back in his own jungle, so I'll have to do with that for now. We'll see where Pexu ends up. He's actually heading over towards the middle lane now even. Maybe just going to go to the camps over here. All right, enough about him, though. We got our dual middle matchup here. Again, pretty not unexpected one, really. You got Magnus Aluna, sure, but Salomon Hellbringer. Not really the most aggressive dual lane setup, honestly. So I would figure that Magnus Aluna would have an advantage. It's for kill potential, I guess, but could you see this turning out another way? I mean,
no, Magnus Aluna is definitely a stronger lane, and the reason for that is Aluna is a very strong harassing support, and then Magnus with the volcanic touches is going to put a lot of pressure on the Solomon every time he goes to last it. So eventually they're going to slowly bring Solomon's HP down, and then that's where they're going to hopefully look to go for a kill on the Solomon.
Yeah.
He is the focus in this lane, so being able to net a kill on him would be very good, as well as get Magnus that good start.
You know, the Wild Soul's going to have a pretty good time up here, too. But honestly, so far, I know it's very early on, only 2.5 minutes, but he's not doing the greatest. Kinesis doing a great job of denying him, I'm sure. You got a 10-0 Wild Soul, but Kinesis 12-2 currently, being played by Maximilian up here. So, seems like Cyrox, he's actually having a little bit of trouble. He seems constantly falling back. Kinesis, whenever Wild Soul himself is pushed up, gets some pressure on him. So, once that level 5 hits, though, then of course, that swipe kicks in, and hopefully things change for Wild Soul's sake, but is it expected that Kinesis is doing pretty good, do you think?
Yeah, until Wild Soul's level 5, as you pointed out, Kinesis just has so much lane presence, as well as being able to keep the lane where he has it right now, which is right by his tower, due to his lifting up of the creeps. Mm-hmm. And whenever Wild Soul comes up, he can just put pressure on him with those throws. So yeah, until Wild Soul gets at least level 5, that's where he can start to trade harassment back with the Kinesis.
Yeah. Shell Shock is auto-banned. What?
I've been noticing that when I've been watching scrims that people are able to shadow it, which I know when heroes are not allowed, you're usually not able to do that, so maybe there's something funky there, but
yeah, maybe that means
obviously the hero's not pickable since it just came out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll actually bring that up too, because I know there's been some issues with that with recent heroes for whatever reason. But Salomon, middle lane, no, he's going to be fine. Just a little bit of pressure there. But, oh, God, a little bit. It turns into quite a bit, actually. Salomon, though, with that bottle is going to be able to regen up a bit and be fine. I mean, again, we are seeing a little bit of that nerfs already kind of kicking in as we were getting at. One being, well, on both, in a couple of, I guess it's more so the Wish for Wealth ability. Yeah, so the goal not as crazy as before. I mean, he's only 213 gold per minute, actually, and granted, again, this is a much different Salomon than we're typically seeing, but you're seeing a struggling Salomon nonetheless, and whether that's because of these nerfs or just because of the setup, it's not looking good for Reason, honestly, with how things are going right now. I know it's early, but they did pick a very greedy lineup, so I guess you could almost say this is expected, but...
Yeah, and I'm not too sure how big of an impact the change to the Wish for Wealth is. But at the same time, it's a tough lane regardless, so that's why I'm not too sure at the moment.
Yeah, I think we need we'll need a couple of game sample size at least before we really start getting an idea of perhaps how much the nerfs really impact. But for now, again, not doing too well. You see right there, Ophelia trying to maybe assist for a gank with a Pastula, actually, but realizes it's not going to happen, so explodes it anyways and picks up another creep there. Obviously, 5 minutes in, still no Bloodlust kill coming out. How's Cthulhuphant doing down here? I guess he's doing all right in the sense of staying alive, but Malakin is ultimately doing pretty well. 29-12. Oh, middle lane. Hellbringer goes down. It was just really a matter of time. I mean, the double stun, they got no stuns themselves. Matter of time before Hellbringer goes down, it figures.
Yeah, if you were to ask me where do you think Bloodlust will happen, I would definitely say middle, but to be honest, I was thinking that they would put the pressure onto Solomon, but yeah, they go for Hellbringer. It's really hard for Solomon to do a whole lot to stop anything from happening to Hellbringer, so there's that to consider as well. Until he does hit the level 6, then he does have that threat from the ultimate.
Oh my gosh, Wild Soul. This is very all-in of Wild Soul. Oh, look at the turn, though. Are you kidding me? He's been sitting on this much life for like this last 20 seconds. He's actually going to live and get away. I thought for sure he was dead. It just felt like that he was going to die, but he knew his limits right there. And not only does he get the tower, but he nearly kills Kinesis in the process. Meanwhile, Cthulhuphon will go down at the bottom lane. You see pretty deep there. So good job by Druids over here. But, man, that top lane, that was pretty impressive from Wild Soul. But I guess that's his potential with that lifesteal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was a good job by Cyrax. He knew that Kinesis didn't have any mana for the telekinetic control lifts anymore. It does cost, I believe, 55 mana, so he knew the limit of how much damage Kinesis could return back to him. So that was a good heads up by him. And as you pointed out, he does get the tower. So that's a very early tower. I'm going to give some gold boost to everybody on the team, and it's going to help Solomon a little bit.
See Magnus here in the meantime. I mean, Magnus not really doing, very well himself. He's up to about 290 now, so it's the case, though, of both these farmer heroes in the middle lane are doing mediocre, you could say, at the best. So the game continues on. 7 minutes in now, a 2-0 lead, of course, for Druids right here. Obviously, Paxu being somewhat involved at that bottom lane. In fact, he's been involved technically of both the kills now at 0-2.
Oh, middle lane.
So middle lane, Magnus, is he in trouble? Salamon chasing with that ultimate form, but Malakin coming in does get the fear effect off. You see the Haster on Salamon trying to live. It's going to come out of ulti form, and he will be fine. So the Haster is going to be enough to make his escape right there, at least. So, yeah, close on both sides. Magnus getting very low here.
Yeah, it was really awkward. I caught part of it. Magnus went in, tried to set up an eruption, but Solomon had a haste in his bottle, so a little bit questionable of a decision for Magnus. And I'm not sure if Aluna was there as well to keep him in place. And then they looked to turn it with the Wish for Wealth, but TP support came in from Malakin. So it just forced Solomon to retreat with the haste rune. So in the end, nobody dies, but a little bit of an interesting engagement there by both teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, Parasite has been doing a lot of roaming this game, and he's set up a couple kills. So although Pexu's farm is not the greatest, only 230 gold per minute, he's creating space for his team, netting 2 kills. Actually, Aluna has both of them. So Aluna doing a good job as well. Even made her way bottom for that kill on to the Cthulhuphon.
Yeah, able to get Striders here early on, so not too shabby for your main support. But Salamon, again, he's up to 300 now. Again, still not really taken off by any means. Just I am curious, again, whether it's because of him being middle or it changes once again, if we are going to be seeing that mock build still, or perhaps something different. Middle lane, though, Luna, she's in trouble. Skeleton Head to start this all off, and yeah, that's going to be a dead Luna for sure. Magnus tries to stun. Well, it does stun to help, but it's coming up too late. He's going to take some damage himself. Will be fine, though. Now he has support. Nice bait right there. Salamon biting on it a little too hard. He goes down. Meanwhile, Parasite going to now have to do his best escape impression. The Skeleton King, yeah, and that's going to go off. You see Invis Kinesis nearby. Magnus stuns in, though, but is it going to be enough damage for a kill? Ophelia? Barely? Oh, my
HP,
God,
wow.
She's going to actually live as now Magnus is on the run. You see Wild Soul, he's the one being chased down. Well, we know what Wild Soul can do. By the way, Archdagger was eventually picked off by Aluna with the power throw, I'm guessing. So good job there, but look at Wild Soul, the health, the life steal.
Magnus has another
ridiculous.
stun in 1 second.
Is this going to be it? yes, it is. All right, so it's scary, but Raid Boss is down. As we see
Yeah, if they didn't have mana on the Magnus, he did have a Chalice up. He could have potentially kept chasing with the swipes, but yeah, too many players there for him to to handle, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as you pointed out, I think Ophelia got caught up by the power throw, so he lived with 9 HP, but eventually does get brought down.
Yeah, good escape initially, but too much in the end. So, again, that all started off with a kill onto Aluna, sure enough, and, well, she even gets a kill out of it in the long run. So, man, STSD, by the way, 4-1-0-1. You mentioned 2-0-0 to start, and just getting better here. So, yeah, overall, again, just that much better for Druids there with the outcome.
It was a very prolonged fight, so it allowed Aluna to respawn, TP back in, and pick up another couple of kills.
You see Wild Soul, though, despite that death, he was starting to jump up a little bit here. Over the 350.
Yeah, he was very close to 400 gold per minute, but with that death going to slow him down a little bit.
Yeah. What about Solomon though? So going back to him, I mean, again, it's still very new with these changes here. We're seeing a different, not the short lane Solomon. So could you possibly see not going Mach here? Would it make sense?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for something other than a farming item, and that's simply due to them having a Wild Soul on their team. It's kind of getting the better end of the deal so far. So they might look to put the farm on Wild Soul and just have him constantly clearing out the jungle, which I wouldn't be surprised. But then the question is, where does Solomon look to go if he's not going to go something like the Mach or the Runed Cleaver? Does he want to go something like first item Resto Stone and then something into like Shrunken Head Sheepstick? I'm really not sure where he's going to look to go if he does choose to skip that farming option.
Yeah.
They don't really have the greatest lockdown once the Hellbringer ult comes out, and they have the Cthulhu font stun eventually. But aside from that, they really do lack lockdown for the Wild Soul. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play more of a utility role, although it is very different, and it would seem kind of strange at the same time. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go for something like that.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because, in a sense, he almost, because of the changes, the idea of the hero, it's like, yes, he's still this hero that can, I'm sure, perform very well in the late game and ultimately kind of be that carry, but the changes almost suggest that they're trying to make him more of this somewhat of a ganker. I mean, from the Flaming Cleave ability, again, in his ultimate form, his ability 1, I guess it says here, how that now changed to magical damage rather than physical damage, so the idea that perhaps it's a little more useful earlier on before people get Shrunkins and more of that magic armor. And then on top of that, the Golden Sword ability, so yeah, going to that, I think that's his passive and his ultimate, it looks like, his third ability, now actually grants a bonus gold on hero kills. So he gets 60, 120, and up to 180 bonus gold at the level 3 of it. So it's that idea that, yeah, you kind of want to run him as more of a, aggressive ganker here. So I kind of wonder if Reason maybe had that in mind here with trying it out perhaps in this role. But
yeah, it's always nice to see teams being innovative and trying out different stuff. And just because we always see Solomon played as a carry doesn't mean you can't build him in other ways. Similar to any other hero.
Yeah.
Just because they're like, take for example, this might not be the best, but something like a Torturer. You could play him as a carry, although we see him most of the time as a support. There's that different style where you can play a hero in a different way and build different items on him according to how you want to approach your lineup.
Yeah.
So similar idea here. Perhaps seeing something of a different build on Solomon could be an option.
Yeah. So we'll see what we end up doing here with what their choices from items to how aggressive he plays earlier on. But considering this pause here, it looks like Druid's the one that pause or Reason, excuse me. Yeah, in case somebody went AFK real quickly. All right, there we go. I was going to ask a question here in the pause, but
totally.
I'll just ask you, have you played Shell Shock yet? Gotten the chance to try him out?
I personally have not.
Okay.
And that is only because I, for some reason, just don't like playing new heroes. So I watch other people play them, and I see how they function and how they operate, and then
See if it's
at
for
some
you.
later point in time, I know that's just how I am. I don't know why, but
Okay.
I am boring. And
Very
most
boring.
people are more spontaneous and like to play it as soon as it comes out, be the first
go.
person to click them as soon as the game starts, and
Yeah.
haha, I got him before you. But yeah, I have not, and I've seen other people play him a little bit.
The hero has a lot of troll potential, I'll say that.
Oh, because he
Really?
can pick up
Yeah.
teammates when he pulls.
It's great. I actually got to play. I played him like 3 or 4 games in Mid Wars. I haven't played him in an actual Force Caldevar game yet, but it's a lot of fun, man. Playing the hero with friends, actually, it's a hilarious hero to play. I really enjoy it for that sense. But
Roll out your behemoth into the enemy team and
Yeah.
shockwave or something like that.
yeah, it's a fun skill set. So yeah, I am curious to see how he turns out in Force Caldevar games. But anyways, that's a discussion for another time, ultimately.
Sure.
Okay. So, coming back to this, though, to reality here. We got Wild Soul back we're in the jungle now, and went through a couple of stacked camps over here, so gonna enhance that farm more. Now, Malakuma, can't forget about him, of course. We got him pushing the bottom lane currently, about the 345 GPM. He does have that Helm of the Victim, so Whether it's going to be the Insanitarius or the Whispering Helm, still not sure yet, but going to be one or the other, you figure, with that purchase.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see him go the Whispering Helm and look to try to take off with stack up the Ancients for himself. And the armor is very good this game, seeing as how they are up against the Wild Soul. So I would like to see the Whispering Helm.
Yeah, it's bottom tower.
Will allow him
open.
to be very aggressive against these in-your-face heroes like Solomon and Wild Soul. Yep, so there we go.
There you go.
Picks up the Hungry Spirit.
Do you think Whispering Helm would actually be like... I mean, obviously it would be better, but... Would it be a fun change or a good change, you think, if it had the ability to take over Ophelia creeps? Like he's stealing from her?
Point. I guess, but as an Ophelia player myself, it's already annoying playing against Alkbones and Parasites, and yeah, I mean, I don't know how I was very against the whole Alkbones thing when they originally changed that, but you know, that's been a while now. But yeah, I don't know how I would feel about Whispering Helm working that way.
I guess that would be kind of funky then, because then you'd have to kind of do it with Parasite then, and then how does that work? It's like you just take over Parasite if he happens.
Yeah, and then what, he would just pop out of the creep, or
I guess so, yeah.
Or would you take over Parasite?
Or you just like literally control him for the duration of having it. No, that would be a little.
Alright, so this is completely off topic, but I played like a duplicate Parasite versus Parasite before.
Those are fun.
And the way it works is whoever infests last controls like all the other parasites.
Yep.
It's so
It's a guessing.
funny.
It's a game of cat and mouse. Yeah.
Whoever like and then you can like run back all of them like to your fountain and explode it, or like pop out the creep and then everyone dies. It's so I don't know. That's completely off topic.
When I did the streaming I did a lot of duplicate heroes, and then that proved to be one of the more fun ones. And duplicate mid-ors that we did was the Parasites for that reason. Empath works kind of similar too. It's actually pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
you can all jump in one hero and pop out. Anyways,
okay.
That's not a whole lot going on in this game, so I guess there's good reason for some side discussions here. But
so Solomon does go for a Helm of the Black Legion, so deciding to just bulk up. So I guess they're just going to play around him whenever he has the ultimate up. They can look to do stuff.
Huh. Okay.
I've seen, this was a build that I think I saw a while ago.
Keizu
back when
Suicide.
Offlane Solomon was a thing. And then they would go into Resto Stone, I think, as the next item.
That really is something, isn't it? How, like, that's where Salomon really started to break on. This thing was as a suicide, and now he's like known as the most dominant, one of the most dominant carries in the game all of a sudden. So it's just kind of funny how we see transitions like that. So, but yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, it's going back to that there. So definitely has history.
And, Parasite actually went for an Astrolabe, so I guess Druid is looking to take early fights, but at the moment they're keeping the game quite stale. So if they do choose to keep the pace of the game like this, unfortunately the Astrolabe won't have the biggest impact because he would benefit a lot better from something like the puzzle box. I guess his thought process is, I'm against the Cthulhu font, so I want to go something that could be a little bit more impactful for my team. So it's good in that sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they don't look to take team fights, then the Astrolabe loses a lot of its value. We do see some grouping up here by Reason Gaming, so Ophelia getting quite close to the Astrolabe, but they do have that Helm onto Solomon, so they will look to frontline their Wild Soul and Solomon and try to push into Druids.
This Hellborn lineup, it really is intriguing because it's almost like you wouldn't expect them to be the ones to really look to force team fights and push because of their compared to the Legion side and having a couple of greedy heroes. But with how they've built, and honestly, they do have some decent AoE synergy. It's actually Magnus speaking of that. Yeah, Eruption. Oh, he went too early. No, the timing was off right there. No. They are still going to kill Hellbringer off the bat. However, Salomon in that ulti form, though. Malikan jumped in. Popped his possession, getting the fear effect off. He's putting against mono attacks, but he's going to have to run. as realizing that not really all is there. Without the eruption, they lost a lot of damage missing that. Salamon coming out of ultimate form. Malakin, he's so away. He has to keep running. No, now he's got that range on Cthulhu Font, turning with his team, and at least Cthulhu Font should go down in response. But Wild, so look at it. He doesn't even carry his full man mode right here going in. Unfortunately, the team was not backing him up, though. That miscommunication right there, and he will fall. So despite the missed eruption completely whiffing, it actually still kind of worked for Druids in the long run.
Yeah, and the thing is that Druids' lineup is so good at fighting early on, and as I pointed out, they have the Ashley on Parasite, so they just have a lot better sustain and crowd control at the moment, whereas Reason Gaming's lineup really does lack the lockdown for both Salamon and Wild Soul. And Cthulhu Font also doesn't have his portal key yet, so he can't line up the best trample initiation. So it's just... it really comes down to the lineup at the moment. They just don't have the tools. They didn't have the Ashley Monophilia, which they actually pick up just now. So a little bit of a mistiming, as well as just not having enough lockdown is the biggest thing. So even though the Magnus Eruption does miss or didn't channel, it's not the biggest deal because they do have enough spells and enough sustain to fight into Reason's lineup.
Yeah, to be fair, like, again, not saying it's fine him, whiffing that. You got to make sure you let that channel, of course, but they killed the prior target that they're going for in that Hellbringer. They prevented the Malphus from being used in that fight, and that was kind of the goal of jumping in right there for Magnus. So, yeah, so that's kind of the saving grace, I guess you could call it. And if they didn't kill Hellbringer and he got off Malphus, then it would be that much worse. Middle lane, just harassing again, but obviously Salamon going to be fine right there. So, but yeah, I mean, just prior to that, kind of going over this idea that with how they built, despite having somewhat of a greedy potential lineup, it was making sense why they were perhaps looking to make a fight happen. But Druids just happened to get the jump because their lineup as well, of course, is great for that purpose, and win the fight in the end. Now the game continues on, and still a one fight there doesn't mean they're pulling away by any means. He's still got both Wild Soul and now Salamon has really jumped up a bit. In fact, Salamon 2,400 gold saved up. More right here. So already a little bit different, or kind of old school, you could say, with the Helm of the Black Legion choice. Now where does he go from here? It does feel like the Resto Stone is kind of the obvious, honestly. But
yeah, I think they really, in this game, they just want him to be that really tanky target that, like, you want to focus him because he's going to be in the ulti form dealing a lot of damage. So you're going to have all that HP to go through. The Helm of the Black Legion, the two ultimates, which are going to, basically act like more HP that you have to cut through. So he's just going to be like this front line, big tanky target that you can't ignore, because if you do, he'll do so much damage. So I think that it just makes so much sense here to go Resto Stone. But yeah, Druids does get the middle tower, so they're going to boost their gold lead to about 5,000, and as well as sit on a 4,500 XP lead. So they're in a pretty good spot. Malakin hasn't really taken over the game yet, but he is still on the top of the chart, sitting at about 450. He has picked up the Insanitarius, so now he will look to pick up the Shrunken Head, I would imagine, as his next pickup. And although there isn't so much lockdown here on the Hellborn side, I think it will still be necessary, just due to the Solomon ulti being a lot of magic focus, as well as the fears from Hellbringer and the stuns from Cthulhu Font. So if he can play around those, he'll be able to do a lot in team fights.
Oh yeah.
Once he does pick up that Shrunken Head.
And yeah, well, with the Sallow nerf as well, again, going back to that, his cleave ability in the ultimate form,
Magic,
it's now magic. So, it's just not saying you get a Shrunken for that purpose alone, but it just happens to be a nice little addition now that would help him in those big team fights here. So, yeah, definitely expect that's kind of the holy trinity of items, I like to call it here, especially on a hero like Malakin.
Yep.
The Shrunken, Whispering, and Insanitarius. You got the Ice Brand on Wild Soul here. He actually did choose to go Ghost Marchers, by the way, on Boo Boo. I feel like a lot of players just leave red boots on Boo Boo, especially nowadays, but Cyrox here going the full-on Ghost Marchers, enhancing the potential of damage, as well as, of course, giving him a burst of speed here. Chase with the swipe, perhaps.
Yeah, and the thing about it is it just kind of slows down your item progression. Actually, we do have a jump at the Ancients.
Yeah, that was actually, Parasite was hiding there for a while. Hellbringer was eventually found. He gets killed. Now, a fight perhaps coming out of this, though. Definitely Magnus, in fact, going down. Parasite takes up the Skeleton King Malakin. Now, he didn't actually support him right there, and he's trying to run now. I don't think that's going to happen, though. The lockdown perhaps going to be a little bit too much. Aluna putting the auto attacks. Lifesteal not enough. Malakin will fall, so what was just a simple gank on Hellbringer ends up being pretty bad. Now, Magnus, though, he does get the eruption off. This time, it's a lot of illusions initially. Eventually gets to Wild Soul, but not nearly enough damage follow-up. Without Malakin, they lose a lot of that sustain. Now, speaking of Malakin, he buys back, and he's back into the fight immediately. And down goes Wild Soul, actually. So, yeah, Magnus did buy back there, too, by the way. Threw me off for a second. And so, a couple of buybacks. They get one kill. Are they going to get Ophelia? No, Hellbringer will stop that as Malphus is spawned. But now Hellbringer.
Get Hellbringer here, though, but I think it will come at a cost of...
Parasite's even going deeper, man. He's going to take over the Minotaur. Wow, jeez. Finally we'll come to
the champ will just barely hit the cliff there, unfortunately. Okay, so we did have a lot of action. The biggest thing was Malakin used Possession to farm the triple stacked Ancients, and then they looked to... Well, initially it was a gank onto Hellbringer. They turned it into a team fight. So Malakin shows up to the party, and he misses the sword throw, so he doesn't TP to it, and then he doesn't have the possession, so he kind of gets caught like a sitting duck.
Yeah.
So he goes down. Magnus does buy back. Doesn't get the biggest eruption, as you pointed out, hitting a lot of illusions, I believe. So they do use the 2 buybacks to get that tier 2 tower, and I think it only ended up being a kill onto Hellbringer, as they weren't able to catch anyone further in the background. So although... they did come out on top. It did come at a big cost from the 2 buybacks. So honestly, not the biggest of deals for Reason Gaming. And the gold lead and XP lead didn't change by that much. So you really got to factor in those 2 buybacks there. I think it's a pretty big deal, actually.
Absolutely. No, that definitely is significant. Again, a game that potentially, it really does have a lot of potential to go long.
This game could go very long because we do have both a Wild Soul and a Solomon.
Yeah.
So those buybacks could come to bite them as the game progresses.
Yeah.
Seeing as how they are up against that dual core. And you can't forget, even though Hellbringer is played in the support role, Hellbringer scales amazingly well as the game progresses. So once he's able to get that level 11, level 16, Malphus, even though he is a support, he will do a lot of damage in team fights. TP's coming in middle lane. Eruption is going to be missed. And a nice reset coming out from Reason Gaming. They are going to get the deny on the tower, but they don't lose anybody, so that's very good.
There you go. What the hell is that? That was a new
there's a new Thai announcer. It's this Siam, I think you pronounce it.
Is it a Siam announcer? Okay. Yeah.
I believe so. I know
they have the Siam set.
I know Ula or FD blah 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 has it. And I guess Max has it as well.
Okay. Just threw me off guard for a second. Okay, there's a couple things to talk about here. One is being Salomon. He did choose to go full Mock of Brilliance, actually, after the helmet.
Yeah, this is super greedy. But, I mean, if they get away with it, they're keeping the game at a pretty even to close pace. So, in that sense, it might work out okay. But, I mean, I made my point about I really think the Resto Stone in this game for how they want to approach their lineup would be quite good. This Mock is very, very greedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna boost his damage output, but
it's like wasn't necessary. Now
I won't harp on it too much.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely with you there. It obviously can definitely work in the end, but they kind of have Wild, so who's already kind of playing more of that right-click carry, and it seems like Salomon was going to be instead of that initiator, but nope, he is going to go the Mock here, and again, so probably going to now follow the routine build of the Resto Stone next. Figure. But we won't look into it too much until he actually goes for this rate. Congra, though, speaking of him, this is going to be a Congra kill.
They don't have the Eruption just yet. It's actually a very good timing by Reason Gaming. The Eruption is still on cooldown for about 20 seconds. So they do sneak the Kongor. And Malakin doesn't have his Shrunken yet because he did use that buyback. So he still needs the recipe, which he's going to have in about 200. But, you know, those little things are what allows Reason to be able to take that Kongor. So now they have a token on their Solomon, and the Mock you know, being as greedy as it was, now he has a token, so he's able to get away with that.
Oh yeah, now he's dishing out a lot of damage here. And the Legion team's got to be pretty scared about that. Now, Shrunken Head is finished on Malakin, so obviously pretty clutch timing there. He's also level 16. This is probably going to be very useful in a coming fight here. No, they're going to fall back, actually. Okay, not going to look to siege just yet, of course. Still a little early to be willing to do that. There's still a couple of secondary towers, top and bottom, so probably want to take care of those first before they look to actually break through right here. A couple of tablets have been picked up here on the Legion side. I got not only Magnus, but Aluna. We mentioned her earlier, how STST has been actually having a pretty good game as a support especially, so making use of his farm there. Kinesis went the Gnome's Wisdom route here. Wonder if we're going to see a full Jade Spire or not.
Yeah, I really, really, really am a big fan of Gnomes on Kinesis. It synergizes so well with his inherent defense, as well as now it gives that magic armor buff to teammates. The one thing is, though, there isn't so much magic damage in this game, so perhaps he could have maybe bought something a little bit more efficient, but I do love Gnomes on Kinesis, so I can't really fault it too much.
Yeah.
It just has so much synergy with the hero. And yeah, as you pointed out, Aluna has the tablet. He's actually just about as farmed as Ophelia, and of course ahead of Hellbringer on the opposing team, so he's doing a really nice job finding farm. I guess it's due to the kills as well, but regardless, he's playing very well. And actually a full demonic breastplate picked up by Parasite. So although he doesn't have the flashiest gold per minute, only at 340, he does pick up a very massive team fight item for his team, especially against the Wild Soul. So that's going to really buff his team in terms of their sustain as well as their damage output. Middle lane.
Yeah, they're trying to catch Wild Soul, but he gets the Shrunken off before the eruption finishes, and Magnus immediately starts trying to turn and run right here. Obviously, Parasite getting out of there as well. Magnus does get caught, though. Salamon ulti formed for that, so that will not be up now for an upcoming push here if they do try to siege the base. It's a little costly, I think, but you know, and I don't even know if it's necessary to be very honest, but they do get the kill, and so that's not going to be up now. He does have 2 minutes on the token, and he has that Mock of Brilliance, so he still has potential to deal plenty of damage, of course. Just not that ulti-form threat anymore. But without Magnus, this is a very hard place to hold at the same time. If your Druid's
Look at
right
how
here.
fast the tower dies. The Solomon Wish for Power,
Yeah.
giving all the attack speed to the Ophelia minions as well as Wild Soul.
Oh, they're going to try right here. Malphite's coming out, though. Parasite bursted like he wasn't even there from the beginning. Malakin's life stealing quite a bit, actually. He's going to get the kill on a Cthulhu font. You do see Salomon putting in the auto attack, though, in the background. And Malakin will be forced to sword throw away. Magnus going to be up in 5 seconds. Oh, nice red stun there from Aluna actually coming out. You see Kinesis. Oh, nice portal key as well. Going to disjoint a little bit, but not going to be able to get any kills out of it. Or maybe Magnus. He does come back eventually. Stuns in. You saw Wild Soul right there. He actually got ported back by Ophelia. As now Ophelia is probably going to be a victim. She does get her creeps away at least, though. So a little bit of a, well, definitely a solid play there from Ophelia despite dying in the end. So, point being, I think Reason Gaming fairly pleased. I mean, they didn't get the racks. It's kind of significant.
Yeah, they didn't even use the token. And the thing was, Solomon's ulti was down, so he wasn't... Although he was still doing a lot of damage, he took down Aluna. He wasn't the scariest because of not having the ulti factor. So they kind of just ignored him and didn't worry about bringing down the token. And yeah, they don't even end up getting the racks, so honestly a pretty decent hold from Druids. They didn't have to use any buybacks to do so. But something I wanted to point out was, a lot of people might not know, but when Kinesis has the shield activated, even though he is sitting on top of the Mock from Solomon, the shield absorbs the damage, so it doesn't turn off the portal key, so he's able to use the portal key even though there's damage coming onto him. So it's a really nice tool, and he used it really well there.
It's kind of like the idea with Moraxis in the Matrix.
Yeah, it's a really nice tool. So he's able to position himself really well and help his team win that fight.
Very cool. Well, you do see Salamon, of course, has that Resto Stone now, so if you're looking for a fight, if you're the Legion side, that's not going to be good.
Sheepstick.
Oh, wow, yeah, Sheepstick on Cthulhu font. Aluna's like, well, didn't realize they had that.
didn't even notice that myself. It feels like
No.
that came almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, good
That's a
forward
really
fly.
big pickup. And they have the Resto Stone now as well on Solomon. So, I mean, there's a lot of really massive items coming out for Risen Gaming.
Well, Kinesis is in the midst of the fight. That's not a good place. Very good.
Yeah,
to
and it
see.
was the same thing for Parasite. He has that big demonic, big pickup in the demonic breastplate, and he doesn't have the flashiest farm.
He's all right there. Parasite actually uses the face hug for the sole purpose of stealing the double damage rune that was on Salamon. But here we go. Big fight in the background. They're trying to get Hellbringer. No, he gets the Malphus off. And the Ophelia's touch coming out as well. Kinesis is in the midst of the fight. That's not a good place to be. He goes down. Oh, the eruption gets canceled by the Skeleton Kings. Well played by Archie Tiger off to the side. While until the lifesteal, it's just a little too much. No, it's not. He does go down in the end. As buybacks are being used, I believe. Yes, Malakin, he's porting back in. This is a buyback. Malakin,
Second
no
ulti from
Shrunken,
Solomon.
though. He is going to try to port in with the sword, though. There's that second ultimate as mentioned. Magma stuns through. Salamon getting locked down by that, but now Malakin realizing he's in trouble. There goes the jump onto him, coming out of the ulti form. Down goes Malakin. A hat trick for Labyrinth right there. That was double buyback. Both buybacks have been used now, as we mentioned earlier. Going to come back to bite them in the ass, perhaps. And now Magnus and Malakin are both out of buybacks here, as the Rax is now pretty vulnerable. Probably going to be killed here, I'm guessing. Oh, there's the invulnerability. Maybe not, actually. Kinesis, he's going to get a big burst off. Salamon just has to simply run at this point. Ophelia's trying to kill the Rax. She can't do it, though. Not enough damage. And now Ophelia, actually, is going to fall victim right here. So, I mean, Druids at least hold the Rax, but look at the buyback situation. Not too pretty.
Yeah, they achieved the goal of holding it, but the buybacks is looking really scarce now. Even Kinesis using his final one, so you got 3 players now for Druids, 3 cores, all out of buybacks. And, you know, the next fight that Reason Gaming looks to take with everything up, double Solomon ulti, it's going to be a really tough one to hold for Druids.
Yeah.
So yeah, Reason Gaming looking to be in a really good spot now. And they... Ooh, Wild Soul actually goes for a barbed armor. Not the most common pickup, but there's a lot of AoE coming out from the Kinesis and the Magnus. So I think it could potentially do a lot of return damage. I don't know if it's his best option by any means, but I guess I could understand his thought process there. He is playing kind of like a tanky frontliner. Solomon did transition more into the carry with the way he's built, so I guess in that sense it makes a little bit of sense. But yeah, I think there's better options, to say the least.
My barbed armor for me is always a funky item to see, and I say that because, you know, another hero that's notorious for getting is something like a Legionnaire, because the idea that you can force people to attack you, but at the same time, it also increases a ton of armor whenever you taunt on him. You know, kind of like Wild Soul when you go ulti for him, he actually gets a bit of armor. So
yeah, the difference here is that I think it's going to be more so for the AoE, whereas when you use it with Legionnaire, it's returning auto attack damage.
That's true. So magic damage is
So yeah, in this, that's the difference I see in this scenario.
But even that, having a Shrunken, I guess, is making sure the Shrunken's not active while it's up is important.
Yeah, I think he's gonna want to use them at separate times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if he does use them simultaneous, then I would say that is a mistake.
I'll look out for that here, Mr. Cyrox. But yeah, Reason Gaming has to be feeling pretty good about their chances now, if they weren't before. Obviously. Oh, that's okay. So it's for the other tournament. That makes sense. Obviously, with all the buybacks that have been used, as mentioned before, you'd assume that Reason Gaming is very on top of that. That they're aware that
Eruption bottom lane.
Eruption bottom lane. There we go. Wild's going to be jumped. Yeah, Storm Spirit, not Storm Spirit. That's actually the lift right there. And he is going to go down. So, good amount of burst there. Does he have a buyback? Yeah, no, he doesn't actually.
No, but they did use, well, the Parasite ultimate, it's not the biggest, but they did use a lot of ultimates there, so I don't think they can get anything outside of perhaps a Kongor, which they're going to rotate for. The question is, does Reason Gaming want to fight this? They have the double Solomon ulti, which he has picked up a Sheepstick as well. If this fight does go bad, they will not have buyback on their Solomon. So If they can execute this next team fight, or if they choose to take this team fight at Kong, where they have to execute it very well, because they won't have Wild Soul. So if Reason Gaming is confident in their team fighting, they could definitely win this team fight. They have double Sheepstick on the Salamon.
They're going. Salamon jumping in. There's Malphus. Malikan's almost dead already off the bat. Congress stun locking him. The Sheepstick going up. Finally, he pops his possession with the shrunken head, and he is returning a lot of damage. Out comes the ultimate form of Salamon. Salamon, though, can he get a second ulti off? He can't! Oh, wow. Barely at the last second. Malikan will fall. I thought Salamon, oh, that was he was in his ulti. Never mind. Anyways, Magnus goes down as now Kinesis. Oh, actually, Salamon is going to go down at the end there, and now Hellbringer all of a sudden is the last one alive, and Hellbringer most likely is going to be picked off. So that they did a lot to kill that Malikan, but big picture, I mean, everyone else falls right there for a reason. Now Conger actually is still alive as Wild Soul's back up now, but nobody has a buyback as you were getting at there. So this is now going to be a free token here. Granted, Malikan's not here to pick it up. Oh. Wild
Soul couldn't maybe fight this.
No, Parasite actually picks it up. Make sure. I was gonna say maybe give it to Kinesis, but Parasite's like he just wants to get it. Don't want to risk anything right there. And are they actually?
He actually stole the wild buff, so Wild Soul's not running as fast as he could be.
Oh, wow.
Parasite, that is.
I didn't really.
So that's why he wasn't able to catch up to Kinesis there.
God, it's Wild Soul though, man. I'm just always so scared for the other team trying this, like chasing. We've seen it.
They don't have the
times.
most mana, and that's the biggest issue. They can't kite him with lockdown. So if there's no lockdown, then Wild Soul can do what he wants. But yeah, so Parasite face hugging stole the wild buff, so he wasn't able to chase onto Kinesis, get that Ice Brand slow onto him. Would have been able to probably run him down, but. That was the biggest issue. He did get kited there pretty effectively.
Yeah, it's not an ability you think to be stolen, but worked right there by Parasite, as well as just the assisted damage, of course. So yeah, Parasite again gets the token. He's not the most threatening token hero to have, but at least they prevent Reason from maybe stealing it, if anything, and still something.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, yeah, as you pointed out, they steal the token, but he'll be able to upkeep that demonic aura for the team because Salamon has been focusing him in a lot of these team fights, and it's a good choice because bringing down that aura does provide a lot for the team.
See Wild Soul right there using Boo Boo to check out what's going on in the jungle before eventually porting him back to himself. So Malikan, Magnus, Kinesis, all out of buybacks. Obviously they're really just almost on the last limb, you could say here, but they're pushing. Sure enough, pushing the secondary tower, and they're gonna get that for free. As Brutalizer. Okay, I was gonna say that's an odd pickup of Malikan. No, he actually changes it to Rift Shard. So.
Yeah, he did pick up that broadsword. And there's no reason for him to sit on any gold. Same with the Magnus and the Kinesis. So as soon as they get enough money for whatever it is they're looking to pick up, I'd like to see them buy those items. No reason to sit on any gold this game.
Yeah, so there's potential now. I mean, he has that crit, and we've seen him when he gets able to sit in those fights and get those auto attacks off, not only the lifesteal in general, but the damage he's putting out is pretty intense. So it's, I mean, it seems weird in a way, but I mean, Druid still has a shot. You see the overall golden experience. It actually is very even. According to that.
Trample misses middle lane. Sheepstick does come out onto Kinesis.
Okay, Kinesis. He's still quite a bit of life, though. In fact, back to full now. Malphus is going to be used. Kinesis still tanking up, though, quite a bit. In the background over here, Parasite trying to make something happen. He got a nullfire play, by the way. Eruption hits multiple heroes. That's a big one right there, because Thunderfall will fall. Hellbringer about half life. Going to survive for now. Second ultimate from Salamon. There we go. He's going to pop it. Malikan, though, he's just holding his ground pretty well. Not for long, though. As soon as Wild Soul gets on top of him, he just starts melting away, and there's not much he could have done at that point. There's no buybacks, as we know. I think that could be the beginning of the end now in favor of Reason Gaming. So that's now the unfortunate thing is, even as the stats maybe suggest, all of a sudden you lose heroes that are out of buybacks, important ones for that matter, then that pretty much can do it in. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself at the same time, because they're not going to be able to actually push in yet again, or they're not just going to in the end. So I, I don't know. It feels like Reason Gaming should be able to try to really finish this game here, but they're going to kind of reset. And instead go back to
Parasite comes back up at the token. He picked up a No Fire Blade, which I think is a really good pickup this game. There's so many sheepstick between the double from Solomon as well as Cthulhu Font. There's the Barbed Armor as well as he can even purge the Malphus. So there's just so many things he can purge this game. It's a really nice pickup. And yeah, I guess with 3 being alive, it was just too difficult for them to pursue a Rax. They didn't have any Solomon ultis, so he's very vulnerable, and he doesn't have a Shrunken Head as well, so he's not able to just sit on top of the Rax and hit it down.
I mean, this really goes back to that Barbed Armor pickup, though, for me, and this Wild Soul here. You can kind of feel it on this Hellborn team. Their damage, it seems like it is a bit lacking for how much they've been able to, already have multiple buybacks on the other side. It just feels like they've been somewhat controlled, yet they're not really putting on a lot. I mean, Salomon, yeah, he kind of just naturally is because of his skill set, but Wild Soul definitely has potential to be doing so much more, it feels like. But, same with an Ice Brand, a Shrunken, he doesn't have any damage items, actually.
He doesn't have anything finished, something like a Wing Bow or even the Frostwolf Skull being fully upgraded, so, he can provide that AoE slow. Yeah, it does feel really awkward, and yeah, I didn't really like the Barbed Armor pickup, but he has to do with it for now.
Well, he has 3,500 gold saved up, so I mean, you would think he's going to finish the Frostwolf Skull, which even still technically isn't a big damage item, but at least that would, that's still a good tool to have, of course. Okay, never mind. He goes to Brutalizer right here, so he's just sitting on the Ice Brand, which I guess is fine. I mean, a Brutalizer, I do like.
Brutalizer is okay if he can just sit on top of Malik and pop the Shrunken, sit on top of Malik and bash him from getting the lifesteal with the crit. They could be quite good.
Oh,
Malphus does come out.
Yeah, she got caught initially, but there's that Malphus Eruption being channeled yet again. Not going to be the biggest one. Shrunken's and the positioning not the best. Malekith in the midst of that. Crits are coming out. He's not able to get a lot of auto attacks off. He's trying to focus on Salamon. You see a big crits coming out there as Cthulhu Font will go down. Down goes Wild Soul, actually. And Salamon's going to fall. It's a genocide. Nobody dying on the Legion side. And the only buyback is Salamon. He does have a Resta ultimate. But what is happening? Druids is going to get a Rax first in this game. Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. I mean, they've had no buybacks. Oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. Okay.
That was the difference. And Solomon doesn't get his second, he doesn't get the Resto Stone off, get his second ultimate. And that could be the difference. He's the only one with buyback, so even if he were to buyback, he wouldn't be able to do anything against 5 players.
Man, I mean, just from some item choices, I guess, to decision making of maybe not pushing when they had some chances to really try to make finishes. They're going to vote to concede, and you can't blame them. And this is going to be mega creeps. I mean, this game is over just like that. In a matter of a minute, all of a sudden, it just swings completely in favor of Druids. After being no buybacks on 3 core heroes. It's not like it was a support. I mean, their carry, their main initiator, their big damage source, and Kinesis, all out of buybacks. And somehow, they're going to win. I mean, it's not going to go through just yet, but there's no way Reason's coming back from this now with Mega Creeps up against them.
There's no coming back. That has to be the biggest throw in the history of Han for Druids to lose this game.
Well, the way it's going, who knows?
Right back dinner, exactly. Yeah. They can just go AFK, and it'd be really tough. I mean, they can't physically go AFK, but it would be really, really tough for Reason Gaming to somehow pull out this one. Now they have all 3 lanes to address, and yeah, there's not even one set of racks that they have in their favor to counteract the megas from Druids' side.
It's one of those games. It feels like I do feel bad in a sense. Part of me feels bad in a sense for Reason, because like knowing that they were in so control of this game, and this is a game that was going to be difficult to lose in a lot of ways. But at the same time, again, it's hard not to harp on it, but it's my choices, specifically Wild Soul, and I don't know. I don't know if Salomon really necessarily did anything hugely wrong here, but it's just
kind of a mistake that he hasn't gone a Shrunken Head because of how much crowd control there is from Druids' side. And it's really, I don't want to say it goes back to the mock because the mock ended up working, which
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
tough to say
like
that.
originally. But I mean, when something works, it's hard to criticize it. But the whole thing is that every item he's gone for has been very greedy in the sense that he doesn't have the shrunken. And against Legion's lineup, you really do need it because there's just so much magic damage. You know, you have Kinesis and Magnus, you have the silence coming up for Parasite. If he does get the silence, there's no way uh the second ultimate ever comes out.
Yeah.
Um, the 5-second red stun from Aluna, if he gets that to bounce to him, there's just so much that if he gets locked down, he's not doing damage with the ultimate form. He's not able to pop the sheep sticks, etc. So the biggest mistake is that he doesn't have the shrunken anywhere in that build. But I mean, as you pointed out, Wildsel does get a lot of criticism as well with his build.
On the plus side, definitely. I mean, STST just continues to have a phenomenal performance right here. Not only
Most kills on the team,
9, 4,
300
11,
GP.
exactly the item set, but honestly, the damage chart, he's actually third overall, second on his team. And Aluna's not a hero that really speaks a lot for, I mean, I guess with the early harass of the power throw, but
Yeah. And I
pretty
think
impressive.
around 20 to 25 minutes I checked the damage charts, and Aluna was sitting at 20%. He was the highest in the game, so it's not like he was only doing it for like 10 minutes where the laning phase was going on and stuff like that. He was progressing throughout the middle stages of the game, continuing to really to lead the chart. So he has played very, very well this game.
Well, I mean, reason again, they're not 100% giving up just yet. We've never seen a Mega Creeps come back, and Mega Creeps even got buffed more recently, so the idea of a comeback is just absurd, frankly, but you get the post ace, pour it in, try for a quick backdoor is basically your only shot. Even if you get a genocide at your base with all 5 surviving, it's like pushing out all the lanes and then pushing into the other team's base is still so difficult when your lanes are, because of just how aggressive and how powerful they are. And
You basically have to go like Shrine Rush or Rush the World Tree if you do get to that scenario, because you don't have enough time to where you can hold off the lanes. You have to have somebody like the support by a Thunderclaw or something and just try to push them out that way.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about Megas, too, is that sure there's some more damage and more life, but I don't know if a lot of people, maybe overlook the idea that...
They give half gold.
Exactly. The bounty is even less on top of that. So you could argue, like, oh, you just sit back and then farm it up. Sure, but no, it's a point.
It doesn't work because you're not getting enough income. Exactly.
Well, here comes a bit of that surge, bit of that push, the token on Malikan, another double damage. You see the Hellborn team, they're going to try to fight right here. In the background, wow, Ophelia just melted. That was 1,000 crit, I believe, by Malikan right there.
Another double damage.
Yeah, exactly. So he's feeling strong here. The eruption not really hitting the most, but not going to matter. Malikan just killing the people, and meanwhile, the shrine, it's going to die on top of that. So GG, well played. Game 1 will officially go to Druids right there. And, for a reason especially, I'm sure they knew, going into this, they really were going to need 2 2-0 victories to have a shot here of making the top 6. But losing this, I need to look once again, perhaps. But I think that this is going now even a 1-1 here. But unfortunately, not allow them to move on, because then the most they get is, only 7 points, actually, which would still be short. So that on top of the fact that they had such a lead in this game of no buybacks on multiple heroes, it's got to sting a little bit if you're Druids. But it is what it is, and well played, if you're Reason, excuse me. But Druids, on the other hand, more on the positive side of things, way to persevere. I mean, knowing that there's still always a chance, and they gave it their effort. And they came through. So, anything else about Game 1 here?
No, I mean, they took a really good team fight and got themselves the win in the end. And never underestimate rune control. Not saying that was why they won that fight, but it's a big part as well. So, rune control throughout the game, always very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Double damage runes, especially at the later parts of the game, absolutely huge. And proved to be big right there for that Malikan. So, in the end, again, Druids taking it. They're up 1-0 now. And they're trying to secure their spot absolutely in the